Did you know that sleeping dogs isn't actually about dogs that are sleeping? Now, when I bought this game on release as a 13-year-old loner who thought he might actually be able to find a companion in a game about dogs, you can imagine my surprise when I saw this guy get his ear mutilated. I'm aware some Asian countries have a reputation on chowing down on some wild things, but I didn't think human ear was on the menu tonight. But as my mum always used to say, you eat what's in front of you, or I'll take away your Beyblade collection. Joke's on you, mum. I'm a full-grown adult now, and I don't play with my Beyblades anymore. It's all about tech deck these days. I'm aware that I'm a fraud, and I've played this game before, but I made that video when I had about 300 subs and was completely irrelevant. Now I'm on 1.6k and basically have a dick as big as PewDiePie. I wanted to play it again as it's one of my favourite games. However, because I did already play it, we're going to get to the part of the story where I left off my original video at and summarise the intro with a small montage. In this game you play as Voiy, who's returning to his homeland of Hong Kong after 15 years in the United States. The only reason that Voiy is back in Hong Kong is because he's an undercover US cop and his mission is to get high up in the Sun On Yee, who are a Hong Kong Triad. So yes, in this game you do actually play as a rat, and if you're one of those intellectuals who shares posts on Facebook about being a snitch with a fake Tupac quote behind it, then you might need a quick vibe check before you play this game. Voiy reunites with his childhood best friend Jackie, who gets him in with the Sun On Yee, and finally that means that Voiy can start earning a reputation in the Sun On Yee and getting close to one of the top dogs, Winston.
Hi there.
No, not you, Winston. We're talking about Winston Chu. We conduct our business from the back of Winston's mum's restaurant, which honestly doesn't fill me with too much faith. I mean, come on, you're supposed to be a top dog in this gang, and yet you still live with your mother. Speaking of Winston's mum, I become increasingly worried about her posture. Don't get me wrong, I've seen some serious cases of nerdnack in my day, but this might just top them all. We then find out that there's a civil war going on, with higher stakes than Iron Man vs Captain America, and that civil war is between the Sun On Yee. We got the Winston lads, which I'm a part of, but then there's also the people who work for a man called Dog Eyes. I'm not really sure how you end up with the nickname Dog Eyes. The only reasonable explanation is that he has a rod-dominant retina. Dog Eyes is actually a massive wiener, because when Voiy and his family used to live in Hong Kong, Dog Eyes got Voiy's sister addicted to drugs and she did end up ODing. So as you can imagine, Voiy and Dog Eyes aren't exactly on tagging each other in Twitter memes terms. But right now, Dog Eyes isn't the priority. The priority is Voiy proving himself to Winston that he's a reliable guy. So to do exactly that, what does Voiy have to do? Beat up some people, beat up some more people, collect some money and beat up some people, collect a little bit more money and beat up some people, change into the appropriate wife beater outfit, get arrested and have someone in the Hong Kong police find out that you are undercover.
For God's sake, Tang, he's one of us.
What? Jesus, Pendrew, let me get the door. There are a few badges outside who didn't hear you.
And remember to wash your hands. I had realised that the last few days had been filled with a lot of violence, so I decided to get out the motorbike and go for a nice relaxing afternoon ride, while showing the streets of Hong Kong how big my peen was by pulling the sickest wheelie you'd ever seen. Tragedy struck and I accidentally used this poor man as a human ramp. It really just feels like I can't get away from violence. I mean, who'd have thought that going 120 on the wrong side of the road, pulling a sick wheelie, would have ended in someone getting hurt. Naturally, I go and check up on him to see how he's doing after being used as a real-life half-pipe. I thought we were dealing with a top geezer here, but it appears we're going to need some maxi pads because the big vagina has somehow died from that. The paramedics arrive, and just as one of them drops down to execute the sucking dick to see if they're still alive strategy, a pedestrian in an olive green Prius attempts a quick assassination on one of the paramedics, which fails miserably. The olive green Prius hitman then just freezes, and the other paramedic sums up the whole situation in a few wise words.
This job sucks.
After that whole relaxing motorbike ride debacle, I decided it was time to get some business done with Jackie. Already fed up with being Winston's little errand boy, we decided it was time to step up our game a little bit. And the plan was to interfere with one of Dog Eyes' shipments, full of watches that would make us a whole lot of bank. Luckily, Jackie already had a van with tinted windows that he borrowed from his uncle. Borrowed from uncle, tinted windows, spacious in the back, white van. It's become very clear that Jackie's uncle is indeed a Peagle owner. You know, those dogs that are Beagle and Pekingese mixes. I hop out of the van because I've got dog hair all over my new wife beater, and also it's time to steal those watches. I make sure to take appropriate social distancing measures and equip the face mask, because even when brutalizing rival gang members with more precision than Kim Jong-un's heart surgeon, nothing is more important than your own health, and that's why the face mask always stays on. Even during sex. It can actually be quite convenient to equip a level 1 face mask during sex, because when you finish and you start crying afterwards, the face mask just absorbs all your tears. So I finish beating these guys like I'm their parents and they've just come home from school to tell me they got a B in maths. But the car which the watches are in then all of a sudden start driving away, and I can't tell if there's actually a guy in the front seat driving or if the watches are driving themselves. Either way though, this just turns into a massive chase with a lot of fast cars, a lot of dripping wet babes, and quite a few pedestrians being admitted to hospital after this. The only thing that's missing to make this a Fast and Furious movie would be Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson somehow finding a helicopter, knowing how to pilot it without any previous experience, and obviously saving a few people's lives while diving out of said helicopter when it sets on fire. We politely ask the guy who's driving the watches away to slow down and let us steal them from him, and surprisingly, he happily abides. Just kidding, we ram him so hard that his spleen falls out of his asshole. When Jackie arrives at the car, he sees a boot full of boxes of watches and for some reason only takes one box. That's like going into a drug dealer's house, seeing 3 pounds of weed and only reporting 1 pound to the police. You gotta be reporting everything, bro. Drugs are bad. Jackie took the watches off to be delivered and the mission was accomplished. Dog Eyes' stock was messed up and we had boosted our reputation with Winston. I then decided to go easy for the rest of the day and enjoy the nightlife in Hong Kong. Voiy doesn't yet have a girlfriend, so he has no one to wash his clothes for him. So I'm just gonna have to buy some new ones, as my current ones have dog hairs all over them from sitting in Jackie's uncle's van. Instantly I'm drawn towards the Bronze Warrior, as this is what I usually see myself as after shelving an entire sheet of acid. Sadly though, we were only about 55 grand short, but then I remembered, I once watched a UFC fight, so I thought it was time to start dressing appropriately. So now I was a professional MMA fighter, I thought it was time to start living life a little bit differently. I found a guy getting up to a little bit of mischief, so I decided to go and flex my new skills on him, but this went south faster than the first time I tried to have sex with my ex-girlfriend, and I decided to make the manly play of going straight for anal. She didn't actually mind this, but what pissed her off was when we were in the middle of doing it, and I taped a picture of Alinity to the back of her head. So yeah. What I'm trying to say is this guy ended up putting me in the hospital. Once I got out of hospital, I decided to head back to that location to congratulate the guy and say GG, well played. Upon arrival, however, I do realise that I'm not a mature male and cannot deal with my feelings this way, so I run him over with my motorbike, snapping both of his ACLs. So now it was time to do some rap business like my name was Remy. A guy called Ming works for Winston and he is the drug supplier for the Sun On Yee. But Ming's supplier, Popstar, hasn't really been keeping him too well equipped recently. So not only was this a good chance to rout Popstar and get rid of a drug dealer, it was also a good time to let him know that Ming needs his supply. I go to meet Popstar at a local basketball court, and instead of parking on the sidewalk, I decide to drive my truck up onto the basketball court to let him know that I have the higher testosterone count. But his testosterone must be pretty high as well, because look at that man spread. It's such an impressive man spread that I think if somebody was doing this over on Twitch, the staff would have to ban them. Popstar needed to be paid in advance for Ming's next supply, so obviously to get that money I went to beat up a few crackheads, as that seems to be a pretty good way to make a living in Hong Kong. But just as I give Popstar the money, the police arrive.
It's the cops. Stay cool.
Hey, you two, come over here. Let's go.
Ah yes, great way of following advice and staying cool their way. Sprinting away from a scene when police arrive is a #1 elite tactic on how to look innocent. We call Teng to let her know that there was enough there for us to bust on Popstar, and probably also enough to get him arrested. But that's enough being a rat for now, it's time to get back to some Sun On Yee business. And when I first played this game, I always used to think that the Sun On Yee was actually called the Sun On Lee, and it always got me thinking, who is Lee and why is the sun always on Lee? Poor Lee. The geezer's probably got some serious sunstroke. On my way to meet up with the Winston lads, I then heard this while going through the market. There's only one way that you can get all Hollywood movies super cheap, and that, my friend, is piracy. And if there's one thing we don't tolerate on this channel, it's piracy. So you know I had to teach this guy a lesson. So many people say that you just feel better after exercising, and after roundhouse kicking that guy to death, I couldn't agree more. So we'd been putting in all this hard work for Winston and done him a few massive favours recently, and this was my time to be rewarded. I got to be the bus driver who stole Dog Eyes' city route. Now with my sarcastic, dry humour, I know you guys are expecting a joke about bus drivers right now, but they're actually very essential people in day-to-day living. Not everyone has a car, so public transport is actually very important, and it's a bus driver's job to make sure someone gets from A to B safely and smoothly. So I'm going to take this job very seriously and make sure, like every other bus driver, I have at least 6 women in my basement at all times. It was a really relaxing, nice bus ride and a good time to take in the view of Hong Kong. Obviously I'm joking, this is Dog Eye's route that I've stolen, so he sent about 30 mercenaries after me. It seems like extreme overkill to me to send this many gang members out just because I stole his bus route. The guy must have so many suppressed negative emotions from his childhood that he just releases them all now in random bursts as an adult. If you come across him aggressively tech decking too hard, don't worry about him, he's just remembering that time that his father called him a massive fanny. Anyway, 30 of Dog Eyes' men dead and 10 passengers on my bus traumatized later, the mission was finally complete. And that's where we're going to leave it off today. If you want to see more Watch Dogs, please let me know. I'd love to turn this into a full series. I love this game so much and haven't played it all the way through since it came out on release. And as always, if you do have game suggestions, feel free to leave them in the comment section down below. Leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Thank you guys so much for watching, I really do appreciate it. Subscribe if you are new around here and you're enjoying the content, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye.